Сказать о российских бойцах ММА. Могли бы вы кого-либо выделить?
What can you say about Russian MMA fighters? What names can you mention?
Oh, I know Adlon very well. He's kicked me in the body a couple times, so I don't like him anymore. Obviously, here's the thing. I don't want to get in trouble because last time I told someone they were Russian, I got told to know that they were Chechnyan or they're Dagestanian or Belarus. So what's Russian? So I'm an American.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, if they speak Russian, if you support the Russians or Chechen, Belarusian, Ukrainian, it's okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now I've made this mistake, and I go, "Oh, I'm Ossetian." I'm like, "Shit, dude."
No, it's no problem. No problem.
No problem?
Yeah, you know, in Dagestan they have 40 nationalities, and if you call him, he's from Dagestan, yeah. No.
I'm actually on eggshells around it because everybody keeps going Russian. I'm like, shit. Well, who technically is Russian? Because I made the mistake of calling Andre Russian, and he pissed me off. I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Какие выводы вы сделали из ваших последних выступлений? Чего нам ждать от вас в бою с Алистером Overeemом?
So maybe what were the results of your last fights? I mean, what did you get from them mentally, and what did you learn from them?
Well, obviously, in my own corner, make sure that I don't put myself in a position where the fight looks like, I guess, that a referee could make a mistake and stop the fight. But honestly, I've just tried to wash it away because, I think sometimes you just have to realize there's certain things that aren't in your control. I'll make sure that I have a seasoned referee every time that I've always used. I'm always using a co or a main event. I don't know the name of the referee that was in my last match, and I don't think most people could name him. I think that's a problem. I'm going to make sure I always have somebody like, Herb Dean or any of the other top-level individuals to watch my matches so that no mistakes are made.
Ну да, в принципе, я главное чему научился, что нужно проводить бой так, чтобы не было у рефери возможности ошибиться, но по сути некоторые вещи ты просто не можешь на них повлиять. И в частности, например, рефери моего последнего боя, я даже не помню, как его зовут, и мало людей могут его назвать, поэтому, конечно, лучше, когда какого-нибудь топового уровня рефери судит твой матч, типа Херба Дина и так далее, тогда меньше шанс ошибки.
Ну, классический вопрос, вы находитесь в России, ваше отношение к Федору Емельяненко?
So, classic question, what do you think about Fedor?
I feel still Fedor is one of the best fighters of all time. I think that a few people are, it's always people that are haters. They look at a few matches he had at the end where he struggled. But the guy, out of 30, 40 fights, he only lost a couple at the very end. I think when you take his career as a whole, he's still considered one of the best fighters of all time, pound for pound. He has to be up there in the same arguments with the Anderson Silvas and whatnot. I think to do any glass is an injustice. But if you want to just point at any athlete in any sport whatsoever, if we want to pick out one segment of their career, we can point out when they were bad. Michael Jordan came back from basketball, and I don't think he played that great with the Wizards. Does that mean he isn't the greatest basketball player of all time?
Да. Ну, я считаю, что он величайший, собственно, боец, и всегда есть хейтеры, да, которые выдергивают кусочки, там могут посмотреть последние несколько боев, увидеть, что это поражение, что-то нехорошее сказать, но по сути у него была победная серия, там, с 30 боев, он столько лет выступал на топовом уровне и только в конце несколько раз проиграл, в этом, я считаю, нет ничего страшного, и нужно рассматривать карьеру его целиком. Тот же Майкл Джордан, да, который, когда вернулся в баскетбол, он не так уж хорошо выступал за Wizards, и в этом нет ничего страшного, и все равно я считаю, что это не стирает того, что он лучший там pound-for-pound боец всех времен.
Какие перспективы развития ММА вы предвидите в дальнейшем? Как относитесь к гипотетическому включению смешанных единоборств в Олимпийские игры?
What do you think about the future of MMA as a sport? What do you think about making it an Olympic sport?
I think that would be great. I had high hopes for that until, wrestling was almost taken out of there, and so that kind of made me nervous. But we have boxing, which has contact. So if anybody wants to argue that they get hit, boxers get hit in the Olympic boxing, and then judo and jiu-jitsu, has submission holds. You can do arm bars and chokes, and wrestling has all the takedowns and throws. So the Olympic Committee already allows all the different aspects of our sport already. We just want to combine it into one. I don't understand why it's not. If you study enough of the history, you realize that pancration was one of the original sports to begin with.
Ну, я очень большие надежды возлагаю на то, что ММА станет олимпийским видом спорта, потому что, по сути, если мы возьмем остальные виды спорта, бокс есть ударная техника, дзюдо, борьба, все техники, которые присутствуют в ММА, они уже разрешены олимпийскими комитетами, поэтому, по сути, я не вижу никаких причин для того, чтобы не пускать ММА на олимпийскую сцену. И кроме того, да, панкратион это один из древнейших видов спорта, да, с которого все начиналось, поэтому я считаю, что должен стать олимпийским видом спорта.
Назовите ваш личный топ-5 бойцов за все время существования смешанных единоборств.
So your top 5 pound-for-pound fighters for all the time, or maybe not just your top 5 fighters.
MMA fighter.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, Anderson Silva. I think John Jones. I put Emilio up there.
Who?
Emilio?
Emiliano?
Emiliano, sorry. Jose Aldo. George St. Pierre.
Окей. Какие впечатления у вас от промоушена легенды?
So your impressions on the promotion, legend promotion.
So far, I can't believe how great it's ran. That's one thing, sometimes I'm spoiled by being in the UFC. If they say something happens at this time or in this fight and this is what's going to happen, it happens on the dot. If they say that we're walking out to the ring at 7:38, we're walking out to the ring. I've gone to other shows all over the country, and you know they say the fights start at 7 and it's 8 o'clock, and we're all sitting around waiting for fights to start. So I like that Legends is run very structurally and very professionally, and you know that stands a lot to say. I mean, people behind it actually, and that trickles down to fights are going to happen the right way. Fighters, we have enough stress to deal with already. If you deal with a promotion that doesn't have it together, that you'll see that when the fights start.
Да, но я немножко испорчен своим пребыванием в UFC, потому что там все абсолютно четко. Если говорят, начинаем там в 7:38, начинается в 7:38. Я путешествовал по всей стране, был в других промоушенах, там бывает такое, что бойцу сказали, бой начнется в 7, до 8 он сидит и ждет. Непонятно что, это, конечно же, влияет на бои, поэтому о легенде у меня самые положительные впечатления. Это отличная организация, все вовремя, все качественно, и все это очень здорово.
Вы однажды уже дебютировали на большом экране. Планируете ли вы сниматься в кино в дальнейшем? И какого героя хотели бы сыграть?
You've been to a movie once, so we've been shot in
The
the
Circle
movie.
of Pain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the short fight against Kit Harington.
Yeah. So, would you like to get into the movie business again?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I've been a little bit of a small part as far as like a bodyguard in another movie with Steven Seagal and stuff. And so, as time permits, I would definitely love to do that stuff. It's fun. I think that everybody's in martial arts. One of the main mediums that got us involved, you know, I was watching the old, you know, karate movies. I remember watching Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris and Bill Wallace and Joe Louis. And these guys inspired me to train. And so I think having more MMA guys go into the sports of doing acting, you know, doing movies, I think it just adds a little bit of realism. I think everybody likes the fact that, you know, Steven Seagal was a legitimate martial artist. You know, he does wrist locks and stuff. And so when he grabs somebody, there's a little bit of realism behind it. Whereas sometimes if you get an actor and you just train him to throw kicks and punches, I don't know if it has the same impact. I think there's something about sitting in a movie knowing that a guy on film is capable of doing that. That adds just that edge to it that we had back in the 70s and 80s. And I think now sometimes we lose that a little bit in some of our films. We have guys that, you know, are actors first, you know, and martial artists second.
Ну да, вообще, конечно, мне бы хотелось еще поучаствовать. Во-первых, это не была не единственная моя роль. Однажды я сыграл еще охранника в фильме со Стивеном Сигалом. Вот, ну и что я хочу сказать, большинство людей, которые в смешанных единоборствах, бойцов, мы все пришли туда, в основном потому что смотрели кино там с Брюсом Ли и так далее, все впечатлялись этим, вдохновлялись, и с Чаком Норрисом, конечно, да. И
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
You said that you were watching films with Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, etc., etc. And if it is possible to say, they were your heroes in the start of your career. And I can say that one day I started doing sports watching on you.
Типа однажды, что кто-то посмотрит фильм с ним.
No. I want just to say, just from me, that one day I got an injury and I became my rehabilitation when I was watching your fights.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, man, thank you. That's a huge compliment.
Okay, two last questions.
On a side note, too, here's something. People talk about Steven Seagal, right? People make jokes and different things I hear. But I worked with him a little bit backstage. I was like, hey, man, can you show me a few moves? I went up to his hotel room. He grabbed my wrist. I screamed pretty loudly. So if anybody ever thought that maybe his moves, the Aikido moves that he knows don't work too well, they work pretty well.
He's a really tough guy.
Yeah, if you grab him, you're in a lot of trouble. You better stay back and throw kicks and punches and hopefully land something.
Представьте себе ситуацию, я на английском скажу. Imagine the situation. You've got 3 daughters, and one day one of them come to you and will say, "Daddy, I would like to become a mixed martial artist."
Too late.
You're what?
Too late.
Okay.
My daughter stabs a pig in the heart. I have a film I can show you right now. My 10-year-old is tougher than most men.
Okay.
And she wants to be a fighter.
Understand?
And I don't like it. Well, here's the thing. Daughter, Matt, like I'm not okay. On one side of the question, I'm all for women fighting. I think that, I'm very much an equal opportunist. I think that, I'm very much fair that any girl or a boy, I don't think a person should be limited upon the rights of what they get as a human being, because one was born with genitalia and one had different set. So if you want to be a fighter and people are willing to pay to watch you to fight, then by all means, you should be given that opportunity. So that's how I feel on the sexist side of it. As far as whether I want my daughter, I feel the same way about my one daughter that I feel about my 2 sons. I don't want them to fight for a living. I want them to train martial arts, and she'll spar and she'll get punched in the face. But I don't want to do it for a living, because being a martial arts professional is like being a rock star. You can love music and have music be a part of your life. But if you think you're going to make a paycheck off of music, that's a very dangerous life. You might make it, you might not. But for every rock star, how many people you know can't pay their bills? I know a lot of people that are martial artists that don't have what I have. I made it. I have a nice house. I have cars. I can pay for things. There's a lot of guys that are just as good as me, if not better, that live in an apartment. So that's why I don't want that for my children. I want them to train and live the spirit of a martial artist, the mindset of a martial artist, but to rely upon that as a paycheck scares the hell out of me. I'd rather go ahead that I've made it, I pay for them, they all go to private school, and they're getting into Stanford, and they can wear a suit and tie to work, and then they can go home, take it off, and they can punch and kick and choke the shit out of each other. All they want once they go home. And they could do amateur fights, they can even do professional fights, but they have to have a real job first. A job that is their main focus in life. No fight career.
I understand.
God forbid.
What do you think about trash talking, and especially Chael Sonnen? He's one of the greatest.
Chael Sonnen's a genius. I think anybody ever otherwise. That dude is a mad genius. I think he's funny. I think he's hilarious, and people tune in to watch. That's the thing. I think some people get too caught up. They want to be purists. Like, well, this guy's better than that guy. I'm like, hey, here's the truth about mixed martial arts promotion, right? I can win no fights ever again. But if I told you right now, every time you put my name on a poster, that 20,000 people buy tickets to watch, and you're going to get 500,000 pay-per-view buys, I'll be in every single main event that you're ever going to have. You can be winning, and then if I'm the fighter now that is undefeated, 30-0, no one's ever lasted 1 round with me, but you can't sell 2,000 tickets to get anybody to watch, I'm never going to fight in a main event. I'll never be your champion. You'll do everything you can to avoid me from being your champion. So Chael Sonnen knows how to market. Now, you have to do both, and he does. He goes out there and wins fights. He's in there. But, I mean, let's face it. He came off of a title loss against Anderson Silva and gets a title shot against John Jones. How many guys can say they move up a weight class and get a title shot? I mean, he's a great fighter. He's a tough guy. People don't want to... You're not taking a Chael Sonnen fight on short notice. You know, even John Jones, one of the greatest fighters of all time now, didn't want to take that fight on 8 days' notice. It didn't make sense because he's an intelligent guy with a lot of smart people around him going, hey, this guy's not a walkover. If we train for him, you can kick the shit out of him, which he did. But you're not going to walk over this guy with no training. No, that's stupid. But he got the opportunity, Chael Sonnen, to fight him because of all the other things he's able to do on top of that. He's able to market himself. I think it's good. As far as trash talking, I mean, within limits, you know, I'm a smart ass. I make jokes. You have to be somebody people are willing to watch. If they don't care, you know, then why watch you fight? Beating people up, that's only half of this.
And the last one. What can you advise to young Russian guys which are making their first steps in mixed martial arts?
Make sure you don't own anything and don't get married and have children.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm a huge fan of you. Can I ask to sign a few photos?
Yeah.